This video is for Chapter 15. Problems start on page 297, but as always be sure to read the chapter pages from 284 to 294. This chapter covers about 4 different topics, and we'll try to get them all in this one video. The first topic deals with dates, and I'd like you to use the spreadsheet to calculate your dates for you. And if you would, please enter in the dates using the slash method. So on page 297, if you'll enter in the dates there, the first one is done for you. Enter in the next one as 10/11/13. And to find the days of interest that are between these two dates, you simply take the later date and subtract the earlier date. And the answer will be the number of days between those two dates. So I'd like you to always use that method then when you're doing anything with dates on the spreadsheet. If you find that the days of interest shows up as a date or in some other format, go up here to the number format and hit the down arrow right there and go to more number formats here. And click on date, so you can see all the different options that you can have your date appear if you want it to appear as a date. Now if you just want it to be a general number, then you should have general. So when we're looking for the number of days between two dates, we would want it to be formatted as general. And when we go down to the next section, then we're going to be looking for a date, and so then we'll want it formatted as a date. Let's go down and do number 7. Type in the first date is 10/7/14, and the days of interest are 90. Be sure to not type in the word days. You cannot have any words in the same cell as a number if you want to use it in a calculation. Now to find the due date, we want to take the date of the note and add the days of interest, and the resulting answer should be the due date. Once again, if it's not in a date format, go up to the number formatting area, click more number formats at the bottom, and if you want your answer to be a date, be sure to click on date and then choose the format that you prefer. Once again, if it's just days, then you would want it to be general, which is found at the top of this list. On the next section on page 298, there's a number of different answers that you have to find in each section here. So we'll go ahead and do one. And please be sure to read the directions carefully, because some of these problems use a 360-day year for calculating interest, and others use a 365. When you get to problem number 17, you'll be asked to start using 365 as your number of days in a year. So let's go ahead and do number 17 together. Number 17, the face value of the note is $41,800, and the date of the note is 11/16/12. Again, be sure to put it in the slash format. Then skip the green box and go on to the next box, and you'll see that the maturity date, the date that it's due, is 3/21/13. You'll see that the rate is 5.1%. Be sure to add the percent sign, and all the others are calculated answers. So the first thing we want to do is calculate the days of interest. So we're going to do that by taking the later date, the maturity date, and minus the earlier date. And the resulting number should be just a general format, 125. That tells us there's 125 days between these two dates. Now we can calculate the interest by using our interest formula, the principal times the rate times the number of days, and starting in 17 we're going to use 365, so divide by 365. Our interest formula, once again, the face value or the principal times the rate times the days, divide by 365. Tells us our interest is $730.07. Maturity value is simply adding face value plus the interest. And so calculate the answers for all the green boxes in this section. The next section has to do with discounting a note. A discounted note, if you can think of it as selling a note that a person is holding or an institution is holding to a third party. And I have created some orange boxes here off to the side where you can enter in the numbers from the problem, and then all the calculated answers that you need are those in the green boxes. So let me explain as we go along on this first problem here. Bonnie Bomar had been holding a 75-day note for $2,500, meaning she had lent someone that money. And it had a 6% interest rate and had been written on March 1. So let's enter in these numbers here. The first one is 75 days. And the next number is 2,500. That's the principal. 6% is the interest rate. And it was written on March 1, 3/1. We don't need a year in there. And to pay the income tax, Bonnie sold the note on April 13. So that is an important day then, the day the note was sold to a third party. So enter that in, and notice that mine is formatted so that once I enter in the date, it automatically changes it to this format. And the discounted rate is 11%. So oftentimes when a note is sold to a third party, that third party will charge a much higher interest rate. As you can see here, it's almost double what the original interest rate was. So those are all the necessary numbers that we need to finish out this problem. So let's first calculate the interest amount, and again take the principal, the face value, times the rate, which the first rate is 6%, times the number of days. And we need to read the fine print here to find out, is it 360 or 365? So this first page of problems is 360. So divide by 360 here. And this is going to give us the interest amount, $31.25. To get the maturity value, then simply take the face value, which is over here, and add the interest amount. Now the maturity date, the date when this note would have come due if she would have held on to it. So let's take the original date, March 1, and add 75 days to it. This tells us that the maturity date is May 15. Now the days of discount, this is a very important calculation. The days of discount are calculated by taking the maturity date and minus the date that the note was sold. So for this calculation, I want to take May 15, the maturity date. I want to minus the date that the note was sold to the third party. In other words, that's the number of days left to run on this note. Make sure that this is formatted for a general number. You don't want a date showing up in this box. It should just be a general. Okay, now we can calculate the discount amount. So for this calculation, you need to take the maturity value. You need to multiply, not times 6%, but times the 11%, the higher rate of interest, and times the number of days left to run. And once again, we're doing 360 days. So divide by 360. So the discount amount is $24.75. Now proceeds, the calculation is to take the maturity value and subtract the discount amount. And the proceeds then, the amount that Bonnie Bomar will receive after she's done this transaction with a third party will be $2506.50. So the amount that the third party makes then is this $24.75, the discount amount. So all of these will be done the same way. If you find one that says non-interest bearing, you can simply put a 0 in that box. So number 3 and number 4 are non-interest bearing notes, and the maturity value then is simply the amount that was borrowed in the first place. The next page is done exactly the same way. The only difference is you're going to be using 365 for these Once again, you'll come across a couple that say non-interest bearing. Simply put a 0 in the interest amount. The next section we're going to do here is a discounted loan. This is a loan that when you go to the bank to borrow money, the bank calculates the interest and then subtracts the interest from the amount of money that the person wants to borrow. And so let's take a look at those calculations, a little bit different. We're going to put the face value in for the first one, $7,500. The discount rate is 10%. Think of it as the same thing as an interest rate. The time frame for this first one is 120 days. Be sure to read the fine print so you know whether you're 360 or 365. It looks like the first 3 problems are going to be 360. So let's calculate the discount amount, or same as interest. 7,500 times 10% times 120 divide by 360. So the discount amount is $250. Proceeds, again, whenever you see the word proceeds, if you would think that you have to subtract 2 numbers in order to find proceeds. So let's take the face value here and let's minus that discount amount. And so the proceeds that a person doing this transaction would receive would be $7,250, even though they went in to borrow $7,500. Because it's a discounted loan, they're actually going out the door with less money than they came in to borrow. So with this kind of a loan, there is a little bit higher interest rate involved. The actual interest rate is higher. How do we calculate that? We take the discount amount and we divide by, and you must use parentheses for this calculation. Take the proceeds times the number of days and divide by 360 for the first 3 problems. End of parentheses. Once again, that's the interest or the discount amount divided by, start with parentheses, then enter in the proceeds times the number of days divided by 360. And it's already formatted for 2 decimal places, but in case yours is not, be sure to add 2 decimal places by increasing your decimal here. You'll see that the actual interest rate is 10.34%, whereas the discount rate, or the interest rate that was quoted initially, was only 10%. So whenever there's a discounted loan, it's going to be an actual slightly higher interest rate because the person is receiving less money than what they came in to borrow. So that is the discounted loans calculations. And the last thing that we're going to look at is on the last page of this chapter. It's borrowing money to pay an invoice in order to take advantage of a discount. And I'm running out of time on this video, so I'm going to put that on the next video.